Let me share with you mine.
Yes.
Because I've gone through the story, if you don't mind. Let's look at page 10.
Yes.
And it's about ODM leader, Raila Odinga, who's also the AU envoy.
Yes.
You know, talking about, seeming like he's in support of privatization of sugar companies.
Yes.
And the question that many people have in their mind is, privatizing the sugar companies, will it actually help in reviving the sector that has always been seen as, it's like termed as a dying sector? And so I'll start with you, Magal. As a lawyer, as an advocate rather, is it such a legal, a long legal process to start, you know, privatizing the government-owned sugar companies? Does it involve a lot of stakeholder engagement, the people who work in those, farmers, sugarcane farmers?
Yes, it is. It is quite a process, yeah. Because remember, there are many interests engaged here. There are the farmers. We have the company itself as the main stakeholder. Of course, all their views have to be taken into consideration. Again, there is the restructuring of these companies, at least to make it more profitable before they can be disposed of. All that has to be taken into consideration, because then you're not going to sell a company that is not making profit. You're not going to sell a company that cannot attract investors. You have to make it run at a profit before you can put it in the market. But even then, there are other voices that need to be heard. The farmers, most of all, and Kenyans in general. What do the farmers have to say? And how is the sale to be done? Should it be sold locally? Should it be sold to foreign investors? And what will they bring in? Because we've seen like what happened with pan paper. Pan paper, instead of being revived, was actually turned into a storage facility. And 5 years down the line, after being thrown at a throwaway price, it's still not yet operational. So
are we looking at a situation whereby some of the sugar companies that have not been making profit, some of them still owe farmers money?
Yes, they do.
It will be very hard for them to be sold until the debt is cleared.
Until, not only just until the debt is cleared, but also until, they are profitable.
Okay.
Unless you sell it at a throwaway price, there are so many challenges that are facing the sugar industry. So I don't think it will be a walk in the park for the government or the local mwananchi. And again, the liabilities have to be transferred to somebody. Okay. Will the somebody who is taking over be willing to take on the liabilities of the company, or will the government first of all have to bail out the company before it is sold? Okay. Yes.
Okay, Honorable Nyonka.
I will tell you that
because you're a politician, yes, is it a matter of politics and interest in terms of you're waiting for these companies, the sugar companies, to be on sale, then we go by?
I will tell you this. The issue that the Prime Minister is discussing is really, really weighty. But it has been a long time coming. In Parliament, this is a matter that has been discussed for the last 15 years that I've been in Parliament. There are three critical issues on what this is all about. Number one, it is known and it is understood that the reason why the sugar factories have failed in Kenya is because, one, they have refused to adapt to market forces. It's demand and supply. You're going to have to change the type of cane that you're going to grow. We need to stop relying on rainfall. We need to start irrigating. We need to get the type of cane seedlings, which then will produce sugar in a lesser period than the 2 years. Because it doesn't make sense. I don't think it is normal for somebody to sit out there and wait for 2 years for something to produce results for them. It just doesn't make sense. If you go to Egypt and you go to all these other countries where sugar is being produced, most of these companies have modernized their machinery and equipment. They have actually brought in sometimes genetically modified seedlings. They have introduced more varieties of the sugar cane for them to achieve better results, for the sugar to be higher in content, or the sucrose, whatever they call it. And that is one item. The second one, the fear that many of us as politicians have in that house, I can tell you today, is that anytime you talk privatization, the public is always, the farming public is always weary that some goons, in these kleptomaniacs who are not satisfied with the money they are stealing and making, are planning and coordinating and organizing, not even to buy the sugar factories, but to buy the land around the sugar factories. So I am happy that I saw the Prime Minister with the governors, and also even if the governors who are going to handle who are going to be part and parcel of the privatization, because agriculture has actually been devolved to the county governments. We have to be very careful how we handle the land tenure, the land sales which are going to come out of these factories. Mumias has got close to 500,000 hectares of the land which is around the factory, where the factory used to grow the maize, sugarcane, and then they would process the sugarcane into sugar. So the public is very wary that even when you're going to carry this privatization, please make sure that first the regional counties which are handling the sugar industry are given the rules which are very clear what is going to happen to the land in these areas. Okay, so
Magal, if I may ask you, as much as we're talking about privatization, this task force, the sugar task force that has been formed, led by the government, and it's being led by Agriculture Cabinet Secretary, just going to different regions that we have sugarcane farmers.
Yes.
Was there a need for involving the legal team?
Of course, and I think it is involved. Because of course you need to incorporate the views of the farmers. As per the constitution, of course, today you have to consult, or you need public participation before any major government decision. So I think that is what they are doing, which is procedural. And of course, the main reason is that the outcome of the process should be generated by the people. That way it will again be more acceptable by those to whom it will again be sold at the end of the day. Like Mheshimiwa has said, there are so many fears involving such an undertaking. There are, of course, sharks which are looking out to make a quick profit, either buy off the company, sell it as middlemen. There are those who are looking at the collaterals, the land, so on and so forth. And as like you said, the sugar industry has been making losses for years and years, and the big question is, how can we really turn this around? If you go to those areas, people are thinking of alternative farming of alternative crops. So what really is the future? Should we remain with it? Is the sugar belt still viable, or is it time that we thought of something else? And as you can see, those who've come into it are really not involved in sugar production. They are importing and repackaging under the old brands that are well known in this country.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And as we take a short break, Honorable Nyonka, I'd just like to ask you, why the interest by the government to want to privatize some of these government-owned companies?
The interest
because
is,
it's not just the sugar company that we're talking about right now.
There's a belief that initially, if you look at the history of how these factories were set up, initially the government actually took over responsibility, because at that time you needed a huge capital investment into sugar growing and sugar farming and processing and marketing. But what has turned out is that if you look at the all private, if you look at Western Sugar, you look at one of the sugar company run by Mr. Rai. If you go to there's one sugar company that is in Transmara. All those factories right now that are surviving are the ones which are privately owned. In fact, one of the very interesting suggestions that we came, because I'm in a committee in Parliament known as the Implementation Committee, and we brought in the boss of Kibos Sugar. He said, privatize everything. We asked him, how can you say that? He said, in my company, I have 3 accountants. In Chemelil Sugar Company, they have 136. How are you going to make money if you have 136 people in the accounting department, when in my company I've got 3 people? I've got an accountant, I've somebody who's in marketing, and I've got one who does, I think, PR. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, those are, in other words, you can only get best practices out of the in marketing of sugar and growing it by simply allowing the market determine who you hire, who you fire. But in some of these sugar companies that are owned by the government, If you fire the general manager,
someone takes you to court.
Somebody takes you to court and starts saying the son of the soil has been fired from our factory.
All right.
And, yeah.
Let's